No problem.
All right, there we go. Yo, 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 what is up? What is up, YouTube Boxing family? I'm here, back again. It's K Rad here. I'm back with another good special guest with the one and only legendary boxing coach, Nelson Rodriguez. Coach, please explain to the audience who you are and, how do you get into the game?
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you for letting me be in your show. I greatly appreciate it. It's an honor being here with you and your show. Well, I've been doing this for over 20 years. Worked with the best of the best fighters out there around the world, um, and still working with people. Not only with fighters but also with professional athletes and things like that. So I'm honored being here with you.
Yeah, as far as everything that you started from the ground up, um, how did the sport change you as a person? What made you come into the sport and say, like, this is something that I could change on for centuries and generations to come for boxing?
Well, the thing is that when I first started this, I went to school for it. Um, I really was into it, um, and then I started working with people, with professional athletes, working with great coaches also. And the thing was that boxing has stood stuck in a way where um, old school ways, being that the sport has been evolving, things been changing, how to make weight, how to things like that, how to make your body uh drop the weight that you need, how to recover, all that stuff. So I started looking at and working with coaches that had high end fighters. Um, well, the first ones I really started with that were like really old school was the Cuban fighters in Miami, great fighters, Olympians. Now some of them are former and world champions and champions now. And I started working with them, with these coaches of working how to start changing things around, of making weight, how to train, how to do certain things as a scientific way, and started moving things around where I can see that a lot of people are doing it now.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you say that because I think that the biggest issue in boxing is like people don't understand like there's not really like a proper setup and mechanism that fighters go through with like the best trainer. And I wanted to get your input on this, but like if you're talking to that like one kid off of like the street that's trying to find something that's inspiring them, what's something that you see out of like a young hungry child that wants to get into something like boxing, and what would be like the best motivation tool to like get somebody like get somebody into the sport to make them feel motivated to come back to the gym.
Well, first thing they have to be dedicated. That's the number one thing. You have to be dedicated in order to be in the sport. Boxing is the only sport that you don't play. You get hit. Of course, when you're starting off, you start working your footwork, then your drills and things like that. But then when it start coming to a certain point, now you really got to be dedicated for it, because the first fight that you have is your weight. Because remember something, you got to make your weight. If you don't make the weight, you don't fight, and that's been issues for a lot of people. But you have to be dedicated, and you have to be a humble person. Like for me, for instance, I think hard work beats talent any day. um and I think that when you work hard and you dedicate it, you don't have to be the most skillful fighter to become world champion. And that's something that um I like to see on in a person, and to listen. Very, very important to listen and be open minded, because if you're close minded, so anything I tell you, it's gonna go through one ear, come out through the other one. But I like a person to be open, be dedicated, and also, a hard worker.
What type of training, regimens, do you make your fighters go through to make them feel more dedicated to what they do? Do you push your fighters to that mindset to like mentally break them and try to build them back up, or how do you see yourself building fighters every time when you work with them?
Well, the number one thing is that, when I get a fighter, good quality fighter or caliber fighter, I'm not, we're not, as a coach, I'm not, and I learned this from great coaches that I've been around with. You're not trying to change the fighter. You're just trying to integrate new things to him, things that has worked before. What you want to work on is sometimes, like for instance, when I have a guy coming into camp, I sit back with my other coaches, sit back and look at little things, and I record them and see things that we could work on, things that we could fix up, and things we could add on to it. So if a guy got a good double jab and right hand, let's do a double jab, right hand and left hook, and pivot out of the way. Let's add that. I like to add on to things. You don't always want to be telling the fighter, no, that's wrong. No, this is not the way to do it. No, this is not. You know why? Because then they're gonna be like, this guy's here just criticizing me. And that's something I learned from other great coaches. Like I said, because you have to keep learning from other coaches. Like for instance, this coach is coming up now that calls me up all the time, and how I do this, how I do that, and they could do it. They'll take it and then do it their way. But very, very important is, you just want to add on to other things. Sometimes they don't recognize that they got better. They have sometimes fighters don't realize the power they have, or sometimes they don't realize they're faster than they think. And sometimes you just gotta show them, hey, listen, and direct them. Hey, listen, you're pretty quick, fast. You got fast hands or good footwork, and those are the things you start working on, make them stronger and better.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you bring that up because for me, when I got into boxing, I actually spoke with Tony Marshall that runs the gym operations over at the Albany Boxing Gym here on Quail. And I don't know like if you know Tony, but Tony trained with Mike Tyson for 9 years,
Okay.
with his team, and I think he was like a former welterweight champion, if I'm not mistaken. He got screwed over in a couple of fights where he should have held one of the major belts back then. But
Right.
basically, what he told me is kind of what you're saying to me now. Like everything that you do as a trainer and understand like the fundamentals. Everything is like a very it's a very meticulous process where everybody's archetype is different and skill set, and I think the biggest issue is understanding fundamental because it seems like not a lot of fighters really focus on that, and that's why you have some of these fights where you think it's you think it's going to be like a good style matchup, but then just out of nowhere, this fighter understands how to break, the other fighter down because, they're so fundamentally technically gifted. And I guess my follow up question to that is when you look at fighters like that, do you do you focus on what to expand for out of that fighter, or do you try to find something that's more um that's more cost efficient for that fighter's fighting style to keep improving to elevate themselves to that next highest level.
One of the most important, I think, punches in boxing is the jab. You should always start with the jab and finish with the jab. A lot of great coaches think the same way that I do, and of course, I got it from them. And the jab opens up everything. The jab, you could use it either to, of course, touch the body, touch the range, look for your range. Also deflect punches. It's just not only for throwing. Um, I like to work on the fundamentals in boxing. I don't. There's some fighters that come in and they extremely strong and they hit the bag and it's like boom boom. You're like, man, this guy got power. But then when they're there with a guy that can move and box and just, the fights are won with the jab. As you see, one of the I think one of the best guys with a great jab. Not only one person, but there's a few guys I can think of, like with Haney, and also what's his name? Oh, Shakur, Haney and Shakur. Um, they have great jabs that does the opening, touch upstairs, upstairs, touch downstairs. So me personally, I like to work on their jabs, footwork, standing, because everything else follows it. If you're not standing right, you're all over the place. You look sloppy, you know. So I like to work on the fundamentals on the jab. And those are very good things. And then on top of that, that's where everything else follows with a great nutrition, how to make weight, how to does everything. Because even if you have a great training camp for 8 weeks, but you make the weight the wrong way, you just threw everything out the window because within you're fighting for championship round or a 10 round fight, let's just say, you start feeling that. If you drop the weight the wrong way, you start feeling that. And depending on what kind of fight you have, if it's a bang bang fight, you start feeling that in the third, fourth, fifth round. You start slowing down, things are tired, your hands are dropping, and everything we worked out the gym just goes out the window.
So I guess that the proper mindset that I'm trying to understand is like, let's just say if I'm a person that has great conditioning, but when it comes to fundamentals, like I'm not up there yet. But if I'm able to like go the full distance and actually try to frustrate somebody in a fight to force them into deep waters, are like is that like is that like a better fighter to work with that can definitely come into like a fight more in shape versus trying to have all the skill sets in front of you, but if they're not able to take care of what their weight cutting and to be like physically in shape to go those long distance fights, does that scale like a lot better to have like a fighter that can have like a much like a longer career?
Well, one thing you could always do is that you could train a fighter to go the distance. That's not a problem. You get him in shape. You work different things to get him in shape and different to get him there to 12 rounds, 10, 12 rounds, whatever rounds he's gonna fight. Um, Me personally, both has to balance out each other because what happens if you have all the skills in the world? We're working on we're working on you throwing 1,000 jabs around, but if you get tired, you can't throw 1,000 jabs around, so you can't keep that fighter away from you. So it's not being about only just technical, but it's also conditioning. A fighter has to do two things at once. He has to move, step, or he has to move and throw. So you got offense and defense, so that you're constantly going back and forth. So for me, conditioning is a very, very big part because also if you get tired and you take a good shot, most likely you're not going to recover from that shot. But if you're in good shape and you take a shot, you're capable of finishing the fight or coming back and winning the fight. But me personally, I'm going to put example. I had an Olympian, badass Olympian. I started to do the ladder work with him, footwork, lost. He depended only on his power, throwing power. But what happens if you fight a person that could take your power or that boxes? So that weakness that he had, I try to work with him, with my other coaches, of working that footwork.
Yeah, that's very interesting how like how you put that together because I think what a lot of people tend to not understand in boxing is that this is a sport to be technically sound and fundamentally gifted, but I think to a lot of casuals, misconception is that they don't look at what's happening inside of the fight. And I think as you break it down brilliantly, that's something that a lot of people don't want to understand, because the sweet science has always been built like around that. But I think as far as when people don't understand how fighters fight the way they do, to basically be more of like a pure boxer, rather than just be like a bona fide power puncher.
Right.
Right. Do you just think that that's just like foolishness for people not understanding about the sport more, or them just not understanding how styles work?
Well, the thing is that it starts from the beginning of boxing. That's why it's very important. When you start boxing, you start learning your fundamentals first. Um, Sometimes, and don't get me wrong, I have bumped into guys and kids that when they start off because they got good power, and I put them to spar maybe once or twice, and they hurt the person. They think that, hey, I'm gonna rely just on my power. No, that doesn't work that way. It works. Boxing is hard work, dedication. It's just like UFC too. UFC, man, these guys gotta learn jujitsu. They gotta learn, wrestling. They gotta learn striking. They gotta do 3 or 4 different things at one time. Um, and you have to be dedicated. That I have a saying in my gym. You train like a champion from the beginning. I have an amateur. I have a few amateur kids, but I treat them like if they're fighting for the world title or they're fighting for a title, because you got to start them from now to get used to how to do things now. If you teach them how to do, if you start boxing, you start working with kids and you start cutting corners and doing things and doing that. So what happens? They pick up that bad habit, and when they go to another gym, um, and you have a good coach that follows the fundamentals and exactly what to do and how to do things. Sometimes a person might feel bad and be like, son, this coach never showed me anything. He just let me hit the bag and hit the bag 50,000 times, and I felt strong. Oh yeah, great job. No, it's not like that. Slowly but surely, you get the person there. But boxing is the fundamentals are very, very important.
Yeah. Um, I think the biggest issue is that people just expect fighters to just go in there and just knock each other out. So that's why that I kind of brought that question up about people being misconcepted about how fighters fight and how coaches actually think in there, because it's like like it's more than just going in there and just balling like your fists up to just try to hit
Right.
somebody. Like it's a very high speed chess level ring of fire type of sport. Like it's
And you got
something like
and you got to understand something too. Power. You're born with it. That's one thing. You're born either you have the power, or you don't have the power. Tank, for instance, Tank has power. Nobody showed him that. He has power. When he lands something, it's night night. It's power. And,
yeah, deadly
people are born with that. And then you got some people that it sounds like they hit hard, but they don't hit hard. But they have great boxing skills. So when you mix that in together, that's where you could see what you have. But you got fighters that have great power, and you're born with that. It's not a coach teaching you. He just, then you have that power. Then they start tweaking here, turn the foot this way, turn your shoulder that way, turn your hips this way, and you create a little bit more leverage to that power. The power's born with it. You know what I'm saying? I have guys that are, like, for instance, I think that what you were saying about fighters, for people expecting knockouts, it depends what fighter you're watching. You know what I'm saying? If you're fighting, if you're looking at a Haney, great boxing skills. He moves, he boxes. You know what I'm saying? He has a high IQ, just like in boxing, like Shakur. And then if you see Tank, now Tank got good boxing skills. Don't get me wrong. He definitely got great boxing IQ also, but he got power. Now I'm not saying the other two don't got power, but you would expect a knockout from Tank than from the other two. But now when you expect power constantly all the time, you're looking at the heavier weight classes. The lighter weight classes throw 50,000 punches per round. The heavier weight class takes one punch and is 9-9.
yeah. um as far as just understanding, like but the but the core fundamentals of the sport, do you focus more on the defensive aspects, or do you just find like a good skill that a fighter's good with, and then like you just compound off of it, right?
That's absolutely what I do. First week you're working with depending. Everybody's different. You can't have this guy fight the same way this other guy fights, and you can't have this guy fight the way this other guy fights. Everybody's different. You got to look at how this guy fights or how this guy is better. There's some people that have great footwork, and then you have a guy that's been an athlete, but his footwork it's not there. So basically, I see, and I go from there, and then I start integrating things. But footwork for me is a very important thing. Those footwork is what gets you out of trouble and puts you in position to land a good shot.
What's the most common thing that you see out of a fighter that makes up the most, mistakes in training camp? And if any of what you see that's wrong out of a fighter, do you do you coach them on how to like be how should I say be more responsible in a fighting situation, so therefore they don't put themselves in danger of getting harmed in a fight?
I think I think I could speak for a lot of coaches is where that um there's some fighters, well, it's a lot of fighters that like to drop their hands.
Yeah.
A lot of fighters, especially the young fighters, want to do the Mayweather style. Mayweather's only one. There's a lot of gifted fighters out there, like gifted fighters, but cannot do the same the same fighting, the same fight. How can I say? Doesn't have the fighting skills as Mayweather. Mayweather has that tuck his chin in, shoulder roll, comes right back. So I have problems with people just trying to imitate that and dropping their hands. Um, I I'm very strict with that. Pick up your, on TV. If I'm on TV or anywhere, I'm working a corner. You hear me pick up the phone, pick up the phone. So when they hear pick up the phone, they know they got to pick up the hand. So it's pick up the phone. So some fighters after the fifth, sixth round, they get comfortable. They start dropping the hands because they start moving around. But that's when you got to be careful because the shot could come in. Um, so you hear me constantly, um, hear me in the background say, pick up the phone. And it means the fighter already knows it's just pick up your hands back on because sometimes they throw a good combination, they pull out and their hands down. And that's where you could get punched that, coming into, when you're attacking and you're attacking with your hands down, you could catch a shot and knock you out. And then coming back out, you could give a couple of you could give a good combination, 4 or 5 punch combination, pull back out, and they catch you with a shot too. So keeping your hands up and your jab, your hands up, it's my major pet peeve, I say, of a fighter. There's some guys that could keep it down to their waist and pop it quick. But you gotta also know the distance. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather, he keeps his hand down, but he knows his distance with the other fighter. So for me, I'm gonna say keeping your hands up, the jab and keeping your hands up.
Yeah, that's definitely important. And I've always kind of thought of it like that ever since I was younger, looking at fights. But definitely, I think that should always be like the universal, mechanism to like be successful defensively. Because what I really get, upset about in certain fighters, like, I'll use like Teofimo Lopez. He's a great example. Like, he tries to act like he can't get hit with a big shot, but it's like the minute he gets clipped with something heavy, it's like his body language easily shows that he didn't take it well. So I think the problem with a lot of the young fighters that are not defensively responsible, they end up thinking that they could take somebody's best shot until they actually find out and get badly hurt in that situation.
Right. I think in training camp, I don't like fighters that are cocky. I really don't like that. I've been around a lot of world champions and great fighters. You don't have to be one of the greatest champions to be a great fighter. But that cockiness, I understand you got the cockiness because that's your okay, nobody's gonna beat me, and that's a great attitude now. Don't get me wrong now. But then it comes to a point where you have to also stay humble. I cannot stand a fighter that is that you win a big fight, you celebrate, okay, cool, but good sportsmanship goes a long ways and being humble. That's what I always try to um tell my fighters, and I thank God that my fighters are humble guys. I try to maintain like that always. Um, because you never know. Boxing, one day you're up here and you're in the top of the world, and that's fine. But then one day you'll be down here again. Remember, boxing is something that goes around. Sometimes you have a whole bunch of fighters that are the best fighters. You have the best talent let's just say me. I might have the best talent in Orlando, the biggest names. But something, you gotta stay humble because remember, fighters come and go. Fighters win and lose. Fighters just like I said, come and go. But they come, they make you, everybody okay, everybody happy with you. Then when they leave, when you be cocky and you think, excuse my language, shit don't stink. Then when these fighters leave to another with another coach or anything, you look like the asshole, excuse my language once again. So for me, staying humble, it's a major thing. Because boxing, one minute you're here and the other coach and it all depends is how many times you get back up here. That's being a great coach. You
Yeah.
know, Freddie Roach, for instance, a great coach, good friend. Garcia also. These guys, you have Manny Pacquiao, you have all these great fighters, and you're top of the world. You know what I'm saying? When you have fighters like this. You know what I'm saying? When you don't have fighters like this, you start from the bottom again and start that's when you prove that you're a good coach. When you could graph other guys, because there's some guys that are gifted. Manny Pacquiao was just there won't be another Manny Pacquiao. There will not be another Mayweather. These are guys that are special. And whoever trains them, it doesn't matter. It could have been an amateur coach. These guys gonna make their team shine because they're just a special breed. But now the thing is grabbing a fighter, and this is what I like. I like to get fighters that are underdogs and let's do an upset. I love that. That for
Yeah.
me is a plus for me. We did it with Claudio Morero, former world champion. I was working with him and Herman Casado, former world champion, and then he lost against Jesus Rojas. He got knocked out super bad. Um, we fought in PBC, got knocked out real bad. Okay, no problem. He came back. We came back. We started. I wasn't working with him that fight. He came back. He came up here to Orlando to work with me, and I said, let's prove a point. I love proving points. I think actions are better than words. And we fought a guy named what's his name? Jesus Christ. We fought a guy that was 24 wins with 22 knockouts. Um, bad. It was a bad up and coming star from with PBC also. First
Oh,
round.
Xavier Martinez.
Which one? No, not Martinez. It was
Oh,
against a Mexican fighter. It was right after the Jesus Rojas fight. He got shot actually 6 times. I don't know. I heard he survived, but never got to fight again. Um, I forgot his name, but
yeah. Look, I'm
anyway,
pulling it up right now.
yeah. It was before the Martinez fight. The one-
Uh, Kid Galahad, right? Kid Galahad.
no, that was before that. He won the fight. We knocked the
Oh,
guy out.
Zerdito.
Who?
Eduardo. Eduardo Ramirez. Eduardo.
No. It was before that. Before that.
Oh, Jorge Lara. Jorge Lara.
Lara. Yes, Jorge Lara.
Yeah.
Had a phenomenal record, knockout. He fought actually Jesus Rojas, and they fought, and he beat Jesus, if I'm not mistaken, or they got a draw. It was the guy was up and it was a monster, knocking out everyone like Pitbull right now. Isaac, that new fighter, Mexican kid, Isaac,
Yeah. Isaac
Cruz.
Pitbull Cruz.
Right. We fought that guy. We were like, look, there's levels to this. So where I worked with Claudio was let's work on sitting down the punches. He's super fast, southpaw, and I think it was in 20, 30 seconds, we knocked out the guy. The guy couldn't get back up. Very simple. It was just simple, just staying in the pocket and sitting down the punches, then jumping around. And those are the things that I like. I like, working with guys that have a couple of losses, because when they come back, that's when you show what kind of coach are you. You don't have to be, one of the highest known coaches to be a great coach. You know what I'm saying? Nobody knew who was Canelo's coach until Canelo started fighting. Oh, he's a great coach. A lot of people went to work with him. But unfortunately, Canelo is Canelo, and that's why they stay with him. But again, you don't have to be the greatest coach or known coach in the world, but just for your fighter to go out there and kick some butt when he's the underdog, that's what proves more than anything else.
Yeah, that's very interesting that you say that because I think the biggest issue that a lot of people have in boxing is when a fighter loses and they act religiously sinful to act as if, oh, if you lose, then therefore that means you're garbage. You're not that good anymore. And I find that to be disrespectful because it's like, I used to wrestle back in high school, and I was taught by my coaches that when you lose, you actually get better. If you learn
Right,
from your losses. And my coach, like, had always told me, always be desirable when you lose because you never know what hidden pieces of what you've lost in that match that you could take from, and then you can
right,
keep evolving. Because it's like to me at least, I don't think I don't think a person's better than me if they beat me once in a match.
right,
Like
right,
like to me, I believe I can beat that person, again, or potentially in a rematch, or however many times we fight each other, if I put my mind to it. Because it's like I think what people tend to fail to realize is like just because someone outbests you in a fight doesn't mean that they're always going to beat you. There's levels to the
right,
understanding of how you see the matchup going. So there's a reason why people can't get through that type of thinking because they have to go beyond their own potential limits.
right. And when you lose, it depends. When you take a loss, like for instance, when Canelo lost to Mayweather, Canelo came back a different beast. Sometimes losing makes you think like you're taking advantage of other situations. And I'm gonna tell you a perfect example. Gamboza, his old coach, is a friend of mine, Javier. Um, huh?
Yurioka's Gamboa's trainer.
No, 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 no. Gamboza, the one that just fought Haney.
Oh, Cambosos. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, George.
So,
Yeah.
so, so, um, he lost against Haney, right? Now, the guy that has put him in that spot and worked with him is a good friend of mine's, Javier, and he fired him because he lost. He fired him and he fired his manager.
Really? Wow, he fired Javier Centeno?
That's why Javier Santana was not in the corner with Gamboza for this fight.
Wow, that's crazy. Yo, like that's just so stupid, man.
And I didn't know nothing about that because Javier, Javier doesn't, he doesn't say anything whatsoever. But I didn't see him in the corner, and that's when they said, "Hey, listen, he fired his coach, he fired his manager when he got this lost. Why? Why? Remember the person that goes up there is the fighter. Now you could have the perfect game plan, but maybe it's not your night. It has happened to me. It's not your night. So why fire people when they got you to your biggest purse and you look phenomenal? You got his biggest purse. You got a $2.2 million or something like that. You're gonna go and fire because now you're gonna get a rematch. So you don't want to. That wasn't
He
cool.
got $20 million for nothing.
Yeah, he yeah he that wasn't cool. And I think he looked worse than last fight. Last fight, he tried. He kept on coming forward. They were telling him in the corner exactly what to do. And but this fight here, I think Haney beat him easier. And like I said, man, that's not cool. Sometimes fighters lose and they blame it on the coach because it goes both ways. Listen, this is something very important that I was in another podcast talking about. And boxing gives you depression and it gives you anxiety. And people like me, I suffer from anxiety. And the anxiety is hard because the social media doesn't have no filter. When you're winning, you're the shit. Oh my God, you're the best and best coach and the best everything and the best fighter. Cool. You're in a world class fight with a world class fighter. You lose because either someone got to win, someone got to lose. But somebody loses. Oh shit, forget about it. The coach ain't no good. The fighter's no good. No, man, it doesn't go like that. In a fight, in a good fight, you have someone that wins and somebody that loses. So you stick through the thick and thin with either with your coach or your fighter. Sometimes you got to do changes. That is the truth, and that's understandable. But if they steal a fight, judges, I see some guys win a fight, and the judges, I don't know what fight they're watching, and they give it to the other guy. They start looking at the fighter quick, and they start looking at. So going back to the anxiety, Danny Garcia when he fought last, he was fighting those demons. And let me tell you something. I've been there. When you are with good name fighters and world class fighters, you have a lot of things. There's a lot of things behind the scene. Making sure he makes weight, making sure that he's being recovered, making sure that everything on schedule, making sure that he's feeling good, that you have the sparring, the right sparring session for him, to get right game plan, that everybody's in the right game plan. It's a lot of things behind the scenes, and also, we have our own personal life with our wives and kids and family that sometimes things happen with the fighter, with their family, or with the coaches, things like that. And, when you're laying in bed, in bed by yourself, that you're not around no one, you're remembering these stupid little memes that they put up, or something that somebody said, or whatever the case might be. And believe it or not, we're human. We get affected with that. And fighters go through that a lot. It doesn't even have to be boxers, but also as athletes, they go through that. It's hard. It's hard to to hear the bad things about other people, and then you got to suck it in and just keep moving forward. Some people, you could do that, but when you come to a certain point that you have reporters now questioning you and questioning whatever it's hard, man. It's really hard. And I understand Garcia when he did say that the depression and anxiety could kill a person. And it's true. It definitely can happen.
Yeah, that's a very deep, statement that you made there. Because I've talked to some other fighters or some other people that are related to fighters where, you know, they basically told me what you told me now. Like they went through like the darkest moments, and there's a reason why certain fighters, they could have shined, but the issue was is that their mental, fortitude was absolutely broken,
Yeah.
and they just can't keep it going. But it's like, I guess that the real question is like, when other big time athletes talk about mental health and taking care of it, like it seems like people don't really want to be vocal, about it enough to actually seek professional help, because I think what the issue is like people have this like weird ego to think mental health can't affect people outside of what the sports that they compete in. But I would say specifically for boxing, it actually does, because it's like you are being mentally challenged every single day, and whatever you say and do, that affects like your health, like as a person,
So,
it's
absolutely. And one thing is that, you know, when you're getting these people talking, whatever, okay, you have, you that gets stuck in your head. Sometimes you're upset. Sometimes, and I'm in a position as a head coach where, I got to keep my you don't hear Freddie or Garcia or any of these guys that been in the game for such a long time. You got to keep your mouth quiet, because if you say something, the media will turn everything around, and just like if I say yes, and the media say, well, he said yeah that he didn't, he was. he would the other guy. You know what I'm saying? They'll change things around, so it's best sometimes to stay quiet. But that stays inside of you, and you got to come home to your family, and that's been all day ticking in your head, and you take that to your house sometimes, and think it affects. And these are things that people don't understand. That fighters not only are fighters but also and coaches, but they're humans and they go through things emotional. So like I said, it comes down to a point where you have to be a hard worker and a very intelligent person to don't fall into that, and have good people in your surroundings. Because remember, when you're winning, you got everybody around you, 50,000 people.
Yeah.
But when you lose, all of these
Everybody.
50,000 people, yep, those are the first ones that say, I saw him hanging out last week at McDonald's, or I saw a picture of him the other day in a picnic. That's what. So just because he put up a picture and he was in a picnic or in a birthday, people will say he lost because of that. He lost because he was hanging out. So that's why you got to be careful now of what you put up on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter, whatever the case may be, because people will take that and run with it and make you look bad. So those are things that is part of boxing. And in order for you to become a world champion, those are things that you have to battle. Not only you have one of the best fighters in the world in front of you that you're about to face, and these are people watching, but you also got to bring to effect that right behind the scenes, this guy's getting ready, this guy that. Um, no, everybody expects a knockout. Everybody expects something. And people human. Someone, we are humans, man. Like everybody else, and we just want to go out there as coaches. We want to get the fighters ready to give the best performance for the fans. Remember, it doesn't matter if a guy has he's 0-24, let's just say, has an upside down record, but he has the heart to go up to the ring to give the fans what they want to see. Even if it's about him knocking out for the fans to go crazy, he's up there to give the fans what he wants to, what the fans want when they came to see. And sometimes it depends on somebody's life. Pritchard Colon is a very, his family is very good friends of mine, and it's a person that I see once in a while. I'm very good, very close with the family, and just to show you, 1 minute you're fine, and 1 minute, as I look at it as a fighter, will go up there healthy. He's putting his life on the line for a show. So it's just a fighter, and taking shots and taking blows. So those are things I have to say.
Yeah, that's very deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got some questions here from what the chat. Larry Listen has. Does Elijah Flores train under you? I watched that fight. Was very impressed with Flores, although he stayed a bit too much on the ropes. He worked his opponent in the end. And also, what do you think about Jose Pedraza fighting Teofimo Lopez? I thought Pedraza was robbed against Comey, in my opinion.
Okay, so EJ is a kid that we know for many years. He's from my hometown, the Bronx. Josue Vargas is at
Bronx, New York.
Bronx, New York. So, EJ just and this is the question for Larry, I believe was the gentleman's name. EJ was getting ready to fight another guy that was 2-1. EJ's only 3-0. Okay, just turned 18 years old, so he's a kid. I consider him a kid. His father, I'm not his head coach, but I am there because I'm the most experienced coach. His father, but his father is the head coach. I do whatever his father wants me to do. His father's been doing a magnificent job with him because he trains him in California. I'm just here to give a helping hand. Like the other day, I've been in his fights since day one. But his father's the head coach, and his father's doing a great job. So I want to make that clear that his father is the head coach and the one training him. EJ was supposed to fight a guy that I think was 2-1, right? A good guy to fight. He's only 3-0. His fight fell through. Something about medicals for another guy. He's not gonna fight. did a 7 week training camp up north in Cali, on the West Coast in Cali. That's where he stays at. He spars with the Vargas brothers. He spars with Rodriguez from Freddie Roach Gym. This kid is not afraid to mix it up. Fine. So there was another fight at a 152. EJ's fight was 143. So he weighed in. I'm sorry, 140. I think it was 144. He weighed in at 143 point something. There was another fight at 152 that there was supposed to be a guy fighting also. Was an undefeated kid with another fighter, which is the one that EJ fought. Now the guy that EJ fought is 6-1 with 5 knockouts. It has the people he fought are decent. And the biggest thing is with this was you're talking about 8-9 pounds difference. So EJ drank 2 Gatorades real quick, got back on the scale. We didn't want him to take the fight, but he told his manager, me, and his father, listen, I'm here to prove a point. I'm here not to sugarcoat anything. I say I'm ready, and I'm ready. Man, when his father, his coach, his manager, and his promoters were like, this is what do we do? But he insisted that he wanted to fight. We looked at the other side. You're talking about 8-9 pounds difference. This is a 33-year-old man with a grown man's strength. This is a kid that is 17, just turned 18. And 2 different weight classes.
Yeah.
Drank the Gatorade. There's a couple. There was about 6-pound difference. Of course, we all thinking the next following day, the other guy at 152 is going to be a bigger and stronger man.
Yeah, like
exactly what happened. Yeah. So we was like, we're ready to rock and roll. So EJ, I got him ready, prepared. His father mentally got him ready. We're behind him, and man, he, of course, he stood in the ropes like, Larry was saying, and we definitely telling him that. But the difference was that the guy was stronger. The guy had man strength, and EJ never fought past 4 rounds. He's only 3-0. The guy has been over 6-round fights. So EJ not only went up in weight to fight up this guy, but left 4 rounds out and went to 6 rounds. He was training for a 4-round fight with a guy 2-0. He was not getting ready to fight a guy that's 6-1 with 5 knockouts going to a 6-round fight at his 4th pro debut, 4th pro fight. So, did the guy, was he in the ropes? Yes, a little bit too long. Yes, but he felt the man strength in the 4th round, going to the 5th round. I'm working in his face. His father's on the side. And he's like, I could see that this guy's actually physically, because the guy looked like a different weight class than EJ, was pushing him back. And he was like, man, but in any moment whatsoever, the EJ had in his mind that he's going to quit. We'll talk to him. I told him he has to dig deeper than he's ever dig in his life. He worked on, he sparred hard. So we had him pumped up in the corner. He came out. He did what he had to do. He took, as Larry saw, he took some good shots and kept on coming back. And usually this is when you test some guys, their heart, if they made for this. EJ could have say, something, I'm done. No, that never crossed his mind. He was ready to go, ready to rock and roll at all times, and we won the fight. The fight was very, very close, and it could have gone either way. Thank God that it came our way. EJ proved that he's not afraid. He's about this life. He's a dedicated young man that has a bright future ahead of him. So that's that. And the second question was that this gentleman said, what was it? I'm sorry.
Oh, Jose Pedraza being scheduled to fight Teofimo Lopez. What's your thoughts on that?
I think Pedraza, the last fight with his last fight.
Yeah,
Comey. I think these are people that are good people with me. I think Pedraza is coming to where is a point where maybe, slowing down just a little bit. Last fight, I think the fight didn't go his way. With Teofimo, I was surprised you know, the sniper is not gonna back down from no fighter. He was former world champion. If he beats Telfimo, he's back on the in the mix. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And this is the only way that he could prove himself from the last performance that he had. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, man, Telfimo being young, the way he looked in his last fight after he started warming up, I think Pedraza is gonna have a hard time trying to find him. Now, difference is I think between Telfimo and Pedraza is that Pedraza could crack. If Pedraza catches him on one good shot, Gamboza, it's Telfimo with a good shot, and Gamboza's a small 130. You
Yeah,
know,
he's a yeah.
so he's a small 130 caught him and he dropped him, but Pedraza is a big boy. 135, he's big, long, lanky, and he does got power. So I lean to Telfimo for that fight. But if Pedraza could catch one, catch him a good one in his chin, it could hurt him. He's been in the big in the big stages, with Tank and all of them. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards Pedraza just simply because he's a natural 140 guy,
Yeah,
and I don't see Tio really scaling high at those higher weight classes. I think this is the end of what the road for him, but
right.
that's yet to be determined. But I think a Pedraza, if he lands like a good cracking shot against Teofimo, Teofimo's definitely going to be in trouble. That's for sure.
Yeah. I think Telfimo and Pedraza has very good boxing skills. Good jab. You know, he's still a strong fighter. Those that last fight between him and the other guy, last fight,
Yeah, Coleman.
that was yeah, it was either if you lose, you're out. You lose, you're out. These guys are world champions, so this is gonna be a tough one. 140, Pedraza, uh, Pedraza guy, I think he got more cracks, so I'm thinking Pedraza lands one, but I think Telfimo, he's working with a good friend of mine named Jorge Rubio. That is a good old school Cuban coach from Cuba.
Oh
And
wow.
he saw Telfimo when he was working defense. They brought him in the camp to work on defense, and you saw towards the end of the fight, Telfimo started moving around and doing this and this and that. He was doing that because he was being taught by the other, from this other coach. His father's still the head coach, but they brought this other coach just to put a new flavor on his training camp, and you definitely saw that there. Um, that trainer's name is Jorge Rubio from Miami, and he looked good. The guy couldn't catch him. He kept on moving side to side, and it was like he looked pretty good on that 140. Let's see what happens because remember he was struggling making 135, so maybe 140. Hopefully he has more pop, and hopefully he looks more energetic. But then Pedraza is the natural 140.
Yeah, that's why that I'm leaning towards Pedraza because I just don't see Teofimo doing the same thing what he thought he could do at 135
No,
translated to 140 because it's like you said, this is a whole different weight class and the rehydration is going to be a lot more different. So, and I
right.
mean, to me at least, when I saw him fight Campa, like he wasn't hurting Campa that much, and
No, no.
he had to throw like 20 plus punches just to actually back him up, and I
Right.
just don't see that like against like a guy like Regis Prograis, Jose Zapata, like
Oof.
any top
Cepeda,
10. Yeah,
Cepeda got a good fight. Cepeda got a good fight with Regis now. That I think
yeah.
that's a great fight.
I
I
think
think I
Regis
think
is
that's, you think Regis gonna knock him out?
yeah, I think Regis is gonna knock him out.
Let me tell you something. Regis, I got to meet Regis a couple of times,
Oh, really?
and yeah. He's not a friend or anything like that. Just got to meet him, see him train.
Yo, he's mad cool, man.
He's he is very relentless when it comes down to boxing. Relentless where he's gonna come. He's gonna come with everything. He could crack. He could box. I think that his boxing career was a little bit. here and there, but he fought. He's fought good fighters. He's a relentless fighter. Cepeda has a serious left hand.
Yeah,
That everybody knows that. And he got a serious right hand. But Cepeda sometimes you don't know what Cepeda you're gonna have. You're gonna have the Cepeda that knocks out everyone with a badass attitude, or you have the Cepeda that kind of second guesses himself. He doesn't know, and he even says it. So I think Regis has a stronger mentality, and he's gonna keep coming forward.
yeah, that's why I'm leaning towards Regis because he's a deadly fundamental southpaw. He's not like one of like your second guessing southpaws where he comes in and he wants to throw something, but then he's going to get confused, in
Yeah.
the middle. And that's like the biggest flaw that I'm a little bit worried for
Right.
Zepeda because I like Zepeda a lot and he has amazing like punch placement accuracy where he's like a sniper like if he
Right.
hits you it's like it's very similar to Javante Davis but it's 3 levels down under him because with Tank he knows how to carry that power with his high
Right.
ring IQ in boxing and that's something that Zapata has never worked on at all because he's
Right.
always been focused on I'm coming in here to knock you out. I'm not coming in here to box. And
Right. 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 You're absolutely right. I agree
yeah,
with you on your 50%.
yeah. I just think that's just like a recipe for like two bad styles that are gonna go in there, and whoever lands against who, it's basically like a shootout. But
Right. Right.
um,
That card. I'm gonna tell you something. That 140 pound weight class is you got some hard hitters there, man. Heavy hitters there for sure. So it's gonna be good.
yeah, because there's some other fighters that I like in that division, and I think 140 is just gonna be like 154. Like one person's gonna become a champion one day, and then the next title defense or championship fight,
Back and
the other
forth.
guy's gonna, yeah, like it's gonna be like a whole tornado of just wins and losses on
Right.
everybody's record.
Right. 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 Right.
Um, I wanted to ask about your stable of fighters that you have. Could you explain like who are you currently working with and what's the goal for their careers?
Actually, right now, everybody's on hold. Everybody's on hold right now. Um, right now, I had a situation in my life a couple of months ago where I had to put everything on hold. I had to tell fighters I cannot train them. It was something. It was a personal situation, you know. And it's not a secret. It's cancer happens, and my wife had cancer while she was pregnant. Um, Things went downhill rapidly, um, and I was in a place where I was not thinking about boxing. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just thinking about and praying to God for my wife to to stay alive and have my newborn daughter have an opportunity to live, which right now they're both in recovery after 3 months. Um, so the people that I had, fighters I have a very great relationship with my fighters. They become, it's business, and whatever. But like with Christopher Diaz himself and Nestor Bravo and these guys, I had a long talk with them, and I told them that they knew that was going on. These guys hang out around my family, and I have kids also. So it happened to be where I still have Christopher Diaz in the gym. He had a situation that he went through, so he won't be cleared to fight until at least I think it's January. Then we'll start from there. We'll go from there. The other guys went with good coaches that are friends of mine also, but I always see them whatever the case might be is. But we're bouncing back. I'm bouncing back. I bought a new gym, which is called Legacy Fitness, which is I have fighters that go there and they train and whatever the case might be is still. But for right now, I'm gonna give it about a month or two, and then I should start getting filled up with fighters again. I'm just giving time for everything to heal because time heals. And my main thing, I always been working on boxing, 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 boxing. But when you have a situation like this, cancer sucks, and when it happens to someone that you love, and at the same moment, when I we found out that my wife had cancer after she was 2 months pregnant, um, 2 hours later, I come to find out that my dad had cancer also. So my father beat it. My wife is has beat it and still going through you know therapy and things like that. My daughter is doing good in health. So now slowly but surely, I'm getting back where I should be at. Just needed a break.
Yeah, I hope everything's well, and let the legacy of Coach Nelson continues.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate it, man. Man, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I appreciate you having me in your show. I'm one that I'm very loyal to my people. I really don't like to do um podcasts or anything like that, or interviews. I have a podcast. Well, I don't have a podcast, but I have a very good friend of mine named Cano Loco, and we bring in fighters and just talk. The same fighters from Orlando, just to get them out there. I believe that you don't have to be a world class fighter in order for you to be known. So, but I really want to thank you for having me in your show. I felt very comfortable here. I think the conversation went great, fantastic. The audience that is watching, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys, Larry, for your questions. I greatly appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It was an honor.
Yeah, for sure. I just had two final questions before I get up out of here.
Sure.
The first one is in regards to Puerto Rican boxing. Do you think it's dead? And if not, who do you think is taking over Puerto Rican boxing? Why and how? And then the second question is, when it's all said and done, when boxing is over for you, what legacy do you want to bring to the rest of the people that are on the come up to take over for for the next generations for boxing?
Well, the thing with Puerto Rico is that Puerto Rico, we ended up, I'm going to say we because, of course, I'm Puerto Rican. Um, Us Puerto Ricans, what happened was that we ended up staying stuck like in the old school, very old school. They didn't believe in they didn't believe in doing strength and conditioning. They didn't believe in nutrition. They ended up, if Tito Trinidad became world champion like this, you could become world champion like this. And if Miguel Cotto became champion like this is the way for you to become world champion like this. And it's not. It's not like that because now boxing, before in Puerto Rico, the way you made weight was cutting out food, don't drink water, you got to run 10 miles and don't eat, the worst ways you could think of. Now it's totally the opposite way of eating everything. Where you eat your things, you know what you're eating, what is not to eat, what not to eat, what has sodium, what don't have sodium, what kind of water to drink. All of these things are now scientific fact. It's not a scientific theory, but a scientific fact. Now, this is how I ended up being known in the boxing world because I had the old school Cuban guys. You talking about, I had, I had John Guzman in our camp. We had Payano, Juan Carlos Payano, world champion. These guys were
Oh
world
yeah,
champions.
yeah, yeah. He's good.
I was with Tyson Promotion. I was with, which was Pro Box at that time. So I worked with all the great Cuban fighters that are now either not fighting no more, they just retired. And I got Puerto Rican fighters now that come from Puerto Rico to come work with me because their coaches, which are great coaches, they don't believe in strength and conditioning, and they don't believe in the new school. They believe in old school because this is what worked. If this is what worked, and this is how these guys became world champion, this is how you could do it. But unfortunately, there's other people now that are doing the ways that are doing the way that it's supposed to be. So now Puerto Rican fighters and Puerto Rican trainers are noticing, man, Every time we are matched up with someone else, we could see a difference. So now I have worked with Puerto Rican fighters that they make their weight with no problem. They eat. Usually they have problems making weight. But they make their way, but it was just not the right way. Um, and just that's what I'm bringing to the table now with these fighters. And now when I'm done, I have a lot of guys that, like I said, I'm very humble. People call me and they go, "Hey, coach, I have a guy that has a situation or a problem." Okay, because I have experience of different other fighters. I've been through it basically. Oh, I know how to cut the weight if we in emergency if we need to with the hot salt, all that stuff, and how to recover. I have people calling me, and what I want to be known as after I'm done with boxing is that I was part of. I helped out people. I want to be known as a person that helped people out. Um, I am a very humble person that comes from nothing. I'm from New York, from the Bronx. I don't come from nothing. I just, for me, in order for you to become my family, is loyalty, and that's what's big for me. Loyalty. Doesn't matter if you have big money and you could be 3-time world champion, 4 time champion. That doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that you're humble with the people. I'm humble, and I'm always there to help out anyone that needs to be helped out. I want to be known as a person that, damn, that guy, the day I'm not in boxing, I'll be like, that guy always looked out for me. That guy was a great guy. That guy was never gossip because boxing is just filled gossip. And that's the way I want to be. But the boxing is, believe it or not, it's just, you say something in California and it ends up all the way in Florida and reverted to 50,000 ways, different ways. So,
Yeah.
but um, I want to be part of that where I am changing slowly but surely these Puerto Rican fighters that are noticing now, damn, I'm making way better. Damn, I have a few Puerto Rican fighters that is doing the way that I'm doing, that I've been doing it for years, and now they see a difference and they're taking it to Puerto Rico now because now Puerto Rico is changing now. Now you see strength and conditioning places for boxers. You have boxers now doing the snack program, which um, what's his name? Spence started doing it for this fight against Ugas. He was one that used to do it old school, cut the water, cut the food. Now eating, drinking water, drinking his I use snack, and that's not a secret. I use snack sponsorship for the fighters. So the nutrition is very important for the fighters to make weight and then to recover and be stronger than ever for the day of the fight. So that's what I want to be known for.
Yeah, that's some legendary words, Coach. I definitely gotta come back to your gym once again. Uh, yeah, but I appreciate the conversation, and like I like to do this again with you.
Absolutely, whenever you like, I'll be more than happy, brother.
Yeah. I was gonna say, like, where's your Legacy Fitness gym? Like, is that like a little bit
It's
like
in
a
Orlando. It's in Orlando, actually, Winter Park here in Florida, in Winter Park, Orlando. I have there, I'm actually working with kids with Down syndrome. I have one of a world famous kid named Chris. Um, you could look him up in my Instagram, coach underscore Nelson163. This kid has Down syndrome, but it's the first guy that done an Ironman. Is being sponsored by Reebok and being sponsored. So this kid has Down syndrome and does complete Ironman. He's been over the news. So for me, in my gym, I have regular classes, white collar boxing. I have pro fighters there getting ready to train. And it's right in Winter Park. It's a facility. If they could follow us in Legacy Fitness and Boxing in Instagram, that'd be greatly appreciated. Everybody's welcome there. First class is free. You yourself are more than welcome to come at any time, my brother. It's a great facility where you have different type of people there. I got Major League Baseball players there when they're off
Oh,
season
really?
training.
Oh,
Yeah, so
nice.
I got some Major League Baseball players training there, NBA players that train out of there too when they off
Oh, really?
season. Yeah,
Oh, cool.
so it's pretty cool, you know. Everything can be just boxing, you know.
Yeah, Coach
UFC
Nelson
fighters.
putting on what the moves out here.
You got to, brother. You got to keep going with the flow, man. Because sometimes boxing just like, you know, boxing stay stuck for a minute and then keep going. But um, my gym is for everyone. It doesn't matter your age, your weight limit. It doesn't matter what skill level you come in there. You're gonna feel like family. I always got music pumping. I got that reggaeton or hip hop or club music or something there to pump up everyone. And you know, everybody has a smile there. I don't like to see no one pissed or anything like that. I'm a big person with energy, so I like to see positive energy, not negative energy in my gym, and that's what I promote: positive energy, not negative energy.
Yes, sir, Coach. I'm definitely all with the program. Definitely feels like the same energy I had walking into Evolution Boxing Gym.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate it, brother.
All right. I will talk with you soon, and long live Coach Nelson.
Thank you, boss. I appreciate you. Hit me up.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Coach.
You too, brother.
Yep.
Later.
Yep. All right, y'all. Thank you guys for watching. Shout out to Coach Nelson Rodriguez. Definitely hands down one of the best boxing coaches out there in the sport. Great backstory, great influence, and I appreciate everybody that came through. Shout out to Larry Liston. Thank you for coming by. Um, yeah, sorry that I wasn't able to get the questions down all the way through. Like I was too busy talking with Coach, but I apologize. But yeah, guys, thank you guys for watching. Definitely we'll talk to Coach again sometime soon in the future. And yeah, that's about it, man. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Do what y'all got to do. This will be uploaded to my podcast as well. Salute to the mighty LDBC. Salute to the TWT. Salute to all the dopest Puerto Rican boxing channels out there, and all the other boxing channels out there like BFTB, G5 Gabe, Just Do Boxing, Skywalker Boxing. Please check those channels out, and check mine out if you guys want to. I mostly do a plethora of just boxing and gaming content, so that's what I love to do. I like to make this channel big and definitely focus on it to be a side job one day. So um, yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys very, very soon. The grind don't stop. Everything's on, 100% focus mode. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. Be sure to, watch the replay if you guys haven't, caught it. And yeah, man, I'll see you guys later. Long live Puerto Rico. And shout out to Coach Nelson. And shout out to Kana Local Sports. And I am out. Salute to the boxing family. This is KRS7435, and I am gone. Peace out. I'll see you guys later. Here's the outro. Peace out. Bomb Squad. All right, I'll see you guys.